My name is Jian Xie, President, founder of the Asia Culture and Education Society.
Hi, enjoy the Power of Unity Leadership Conference on behalf of the ACAES USA.
This is being John, Professor of Biological Science at the University of Missouri. We are particularly proud of our younger generations whose involvement makes the future bright.
Hello, my name is Brian Jennings, and I am a student volunteer at UT Dallas with ACAE.
Hey guys, the youth president of ACAE USA wishes you a great forum.
Best wishes to a very successful NCF.
My name is Hailong Jin. I'm the board director. Our organization has been actively supporting Asian communities' civic engagement in the past years. We believe that all the races need to unite together in order to strengthen our power.
Welcome. On behalf of the ACAES USA, I'd like to thank you for participating in this conference and send my very best wishes for a very successful event.
This is Pam. As a board director,
come to join us, NCLF 2021.
We at the Asian Culture and Education Society would like to invite you to follow us and learn about future events. Please visit us at acaesusa.org.
So honored have the opportunity to host one of the NCLF 2021 session, and thank you the organizer AUC, and thank you the sponsor CLUSA. Give Asia Culture and Education Society this opportunity to host one of the session, AEPI Community Contribution. I'm the founder and the president of the Asia Culture and Education Society. I appreciate all of our volunteers, donors to support us. Thank you so much for everyone being here, and appreciate our moderator, Mr. Hongjun Chu. He is working hard to prepare this section for you. And thank you, each of our speakers.
Hi, my name is Shabalka Big, and I'm an ACAES USA Youth Council member, and today I'll be interviewing Dr. Sushil Kumar.
I'm Sushil Kumar, and I am a professor at Lehigh University. I got my PhD in electrical engineering also from MIT. I also got a degree from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, also in electrical engineering. And prior to that, before coming to USA, I got all my high school education and also undergraduate education in India. In general, everything that we do today, all the problems that we face today that we want to find solutions for, and that's why you need people who are expert in a wide variety of areas to tackle them. Everybody should contribute to the community. Asian Americans especially who come to US and then they have been through, and especially who go on and do a lot of hard work over the years and study or become accomplished in science, in fields of science or business or economics or social work or whatever it may be. They bring a lot of experience and they could serve as role models for the entire community, not just the Asian American community, through their experiences. By sharing their experiences and expertise, they can contribute to the community in general. The Asian aspect of it is they could bring the aspects of their own culture, unique culture and traditions to people who have never been outside USA and who may not know about the other distant parts of the world. So this is a great way to introduce people to different cultures. Definitely a good thing, because the world is, as I said, becoming more and more global and interconnected. So I think that's where they can contribute. And obviously, finally, I think because these people are accomplished, I think they should just give back, and maybe if they could volunteer to teach or in some other way serve the community, that's always a good thing.
Refugees and immigrants that come here to the United States of America to seek new lives one of those people who are seeking opportunities are the Cambodians who immigrated here in the 80s. One of those contributors to Asian nations as a whole is the award-winning environmentalist and filmmaker Kalyani Mon, telling the stories in the Rang Valley and the Lost World about how we as an individual can change the fabric of our existence. Our actions can unravel many lives. May I introduce to you Kalyani Mon.
And the reason for me being here, is because I want to, document what is happening. I want to document the people, uprising, the people fighting, protesting, and, really fighting for their lives.
The second documentary that I'm going to be sharing with you is another award-winning film for greatest documentary, Lost World. Kalyani Mom cannot be here in person because she is on a trip to work on the next documentary, and she is hoping with all her heart to join us in person once this COVID is done. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jing Zhang. I'm the board member for Asian Culture and Education Society USA. Today, I have the honor to interview Karina Reyes. Is an executive leadership for EY, and she has held multiple global leadership roles in Fortune 500 companies. She's currently leading multiple nonprofit organizations. Sarah Leung is a consulting partner at EY with over 20 years of experience. She's also the executive sponsor for EY, Pan-Asian Professional Network for the West region.
I'd like to just share with you that one of the areas that I've been very passionate about is really around how can I contribute to Asian immigrants that have come to the United States recently and help them, move from the current state that they're in to being able to thrive here in America. So I'm part of the Texas Work Women's Foundation that's focused on the Orchid Giving Circle. The NOMI network focuses on enabling a lot of Asians that have been part of human slavery, sex slavery, and helping them get reassimilated back. EY has been largely involved in working very closely with several of these associations, AAPI, SN, several different groups that allow us to help change the game. So we're part of some of the legislation. We're part of ensuring that within our company, that we really have taken inclusion and diversity very seriously for Asian Americans. So there's a lot of focus on promotions, a lot of focus around, how do we help break some of the challenges that we've seen within the executive ranks. Where I had a father that 20 years ago experienced an enormous amount of, he was attacked while he was walking home from work. He was, my father was a first immigrant and, just trying to get by and just minding his own business when a young kid, went up and hit my father in the head. Luckily, my father wasn't hurt, but, emotionally, it was quite an impact for my dad. And to see that happen 20 plus years later was even more alarming because I thought that we had passed that. And what AAPI has really made the massive, massive big change is how they've, really created visibility in the media around this. And I am personally grateful for that because it is needed. And it is something that I think all of us as Asian Americans need to pay more close attention to.
Last year was extremely difficult. in my role as Pan-Asian and diversity leader for the firm, I got to connect with a lot of our professionals, and they were hurting. One of the things that we've done immediately was getting everyone together to just feel like they belong. People were staying at home, isolated, and some of our Pan-Asian professionals are from overseas, and their family and friends are back home in Asia, didn't have a lot of information on how they're doing. They're isolated here, and there was just a lot of anxiety and hurt. So one of the things that UI did immediately was creating a safe forum for our Pan-Asian professionals as well as allies to get together so that we can hear and support each other through information sharing, education, as well as stories. This was very effective at all levels. It drove belonging. People feel like they have a safe place to be themselves. It opened up a network of Asian professionals that they didn't know existed before we all went virtual. So they actually got more friends and more coworkers that they could rely on. It also started bubble up some of the needs for additional support for our Pan-Asian professionals all throughout EY. You know, in addition to taking care of our own people, EY looked outside and saw that our communities are also hurting and require additional assistance. One of the organizations EY work with is Ascent, and Ascent's mission is to drive current and future leaders. It's very focused on career promotion, career growth. And during this time, we realized there's a need to drive a social aspect of Asian well-being and personal progression. And this is where EY partnered with Ascent to focus on building a foundation to cater and serve the Asian community.
My name is Brian Jennings. I am currently a student at the University of Texas at Dallas, and I'm currently working with the Asian Cultural Education Society. I would like to introduce you to Miss Kimberly. She is the director over the Gems and Minerals Center of Excellence at the Perot Museum.
So we have a beautiful nephrite jade carving of a carp turning into a dragon, and that's from the 19th century. Then we have on the right-hand side is another dragon carving, but that's out of a mineral called cinnabar. And the lender of that piece, he picked that up recently in a gift store outside of Xi'an, outside of the first emperor's tomb. And then everything else is what we call copper-based. So we have the blue is azurite and the green is malachite. And some of these are actually all pieces that have been found relatively recently, but from mines that date back to the Bronze Age. And so this piece over here, we call that the happy feet, because the malachite in the middle looks like little feet, and it's surrounded by azurite, the blue. Piece right here is a mineral called stibnite, and we would mine that for the antimony. So that's a mercury-based mineral. So these are just all a variety of minerals from modern metal mining sites. But the piece in the back, that's quartz coated in hematite, which is an iron-based mineral. So that's why it has that orange, kind of rusty look to it. And this piece, this beautiful grand piece, it was stibnite, and it is saved from a pocket in southeastern China. They're just all a variety of smaller sized pieces from various collections. And we've got everything in here from the blue is a mineral called hemimorphite. And it's actually fun because on the back of the piece is the hemimorphite too. So we put a mirror in the back so you can see. This case is looking at gem and precious metal species. So you might recognize some of these. In the back we have a garnet called spessartine, that's the orange. The blue is turquoise. In the middle we have a beautiful piece of gold and then silver wire. On the bottom we've got peridot. There are, those little pieces are 2 diamond crystals that have been found, the best examples of species that have been found in China. It's titled the Wutong Princess. And the one at the bottom is called, it's pyrite again. These are all the nature's art of nature's art. These are all minerals that look like something else. But thank you so much for visiting or getting, I guess, seeing this exhibit. It closes October 17th.
I would like to thank Ms. Kimberly for helping to create such a beautiful exhibit. Her 20 years of experience in the field of gems and minerals has helped create an amazing exhibit showing nature's art of China.
All right, well, welcome to the 2021 National Civic Leadership Forum. I really appreciate you all making the time to attend this session. My name is Hojin Choi, a reporter for the Dallas Morning News who has a focus on AAPI issues. I'll be doing my best to moderate the live panel of accredited activists, professionals, artists, curators, and organizers. The focus of this session is simple. It's about how contributions from the AAPI community unifies us. We are planning a Q&A, so please feel free to send in questions to the chat and we'll do our best to get to them. But to kick off the live portion of the session, we have Beverly Hill, who founded the Gendercide Awareness Project, also known as GENDAP, in 2011 to combat the little-known atrocity of gendercide. And she's here to help us highlight some AAPI artists today. How are you doing, Beverly? Thank you for being with us.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. A big thank you to the Asian American Unity Coalition, Civic Leadership USA, and the Asian Cultural and Educational Society for this invitation. This has been a harrowing year for Asian Americans. I am honored to stand as an ally and to emphasize how much Asian Americans enrich our country. Our organization deals with women and it uses art to do that. In keeping with that theme, I am going to spotlight two artists born in Asia who do the same thing. They're both women and they both exhibit their work internationally. One was born in China, the other in Afghanistan. First is Bailey Liu. Born in Jilin, China, Bailey Liu now holds an endowed professorship at the University of Texas in Austin. She describes her work this way: I see feminine labor embedded within my installations as a redemptive and healing act. Let's take a look. This installation, called the Mending Project, honors the healing strength in women. It has a performance component. Bailey Liu sits and silently sews beneath a menacing canopy made from iron sewing scissors. We sense the danger. Nevertheless, she calmly stitches together scraps of cloth. She assembles them to make a beautiful new whole. The installation pays tribute to the mending work of women, which extends from the lowly work of mending clothes to the noble and elevated work of mending lives. Next, we have, After All, Mending the Sky. Here, Bailey Liu invokes an ancient Chinese fable. The fable is about Nuwa, the goddess who created human beings. Shortly after she created them, a tear appeared in the sky, and that caused disastrous storms to afflict her newly created people. The goddess came to the rescue and stitched the tear in the sky and saved her people. Bailey Liu created the storm clouds from hand-dyed silk. And from those clouds, hundreds of threads descend as if in a driving rain. At the end of each thread is a long sewing needle. The installation draws a parallel between the heroic work of the goddess and the humble task of mending. Now, we pivot to Afghanistan. All of us watched in horror as the Taliban took control and revoked the most fundamental rights of women. In a gesture of solidarity, let's consider an Afghan artist who speaks the women's pain. She is Shamsia Hassani, a graffiti artist. In addition to making beautiful graffiti art, she established a graffiti festival to elevate the art form. She also inspired hundreds of Afghans to develop their creativity through art classes. Shamsia Hassani portrays Afghan women in a society dominated by men. She allows us to peer behind the burqa and feel what the women feel. This image is my personal favorite. The electrical wave pattern announces that she is a feeling, sentient human being. It's as if Shamsia is saying, she's alive, she is human. The fact that this even needs to be said, and that it is a bold and gutsy thing to say it, speaks volumes about the standing of women in that country. Many of Hassani's works show how much women love music. Music and song can be their connection to the larger world. Music and song can say all the things they are not allowed to say. Music enables a woman to soar above the confines of her life and feel fully alive. Music sustains women and nourishes their souls. Almost certainly, that is part of the reason that the Taliban have completely forbidden music. This piece depicts a girl's experience of being watched and policed, of having her clothing, behavior, and modesty constantly scrutinized. In Hassani's images, we feel the stifled anguish of women and girls, but Hassani also tells us that these women have plans, energy, and aspirations. They work, dream, and love, just like the rest of us. Now, in my remaining seconds, I want to say a bit about what the Gendercide Awareness Project does. We are a multinational, multicultural organization, and we raise awareness that 143 million women worldwide have lost their lives due to social causes. Art is one of the tools that we use to raise awareness. Second, we take action by educating girls in low-income countries, including several in Asia. Here in Afghanistan, the boys have a school building, but girls study outside on benches and boulders, even in winter. We didn't have resources to build a school for them, but we were able to send warm jackets, snow boots, and books. We sponsor girls in other countries of Asia too. We support a school for girls in India and in Cambodia, and in Nepal, we support a literacy program for poor mothers. Outside of Asia, we sponsor girls in Uganda and Guatemala. We believe that educating girls is the best long-term solution for bringing an end to gendercide. So through a combination of using art to raise awareness and education to improve the status of women, we seek to elevate women around the world and especially in Asia.
Hey, thank you for that, Beverly. I mean, just getting your background in history and articulating how that artwork really does that social change. I think that was great. That was great to see. And now, so we're gonna bring some more guest speakers into the fold right now. We have Ken Lee, who is a National Chief Executive Officer for the Organization of Chinese Americans, Asian Pacific American Advocates. In addition, Ken currently serves as Comcast NBC Universal's chair of the Asian Diversity Advisory Council. He's a member of Charter's Diversity Council, member of the AT&T Consumer Advisory Panel, and serves on T-Mobile Diversity Council, among other among other things. Alice E has been mobilizing Asian American and Pacific Islander communities in Austin for more than 25 years. In 2014, she founded the Austin chapter of the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association, also known as APAPA, and became that organization's Texas regional chair. She is now a consultant for the Asian and Pacific Islanders American Vote organization, APIAvote.org, and she has been working hard tirelessly on the census and getting people out to vote. Now, we also have Jen Zier, the person who put all of this panel together, and she's the founder and president of the Asian Culture and Education Society USA, and the president of Organization of Chinese Americans, DFW. Thank you all for joining us.
Great to be here.
Great. I think just putting that historical perspective that Beverly earlier provided for us as well. I mean, I do think it's important to start off with kind of like the history of AIPI struggles and how the AIPI community has contributed despite those struggles. So I just wanted to open up the floor to any of the speakers here to talk about that.
Well, if I may be bold enough to start, of course, a lot of you know of the struggles of the Chinese railroad workers back, back in the 1850s and onward, building the railroads across from the Pacific all the way to the Promontory Point in Utah. And there were many deaths there because they were, given the most difficult tasks to do. And so in 1882, that act passed. And prior to that, there was no Asian women that were actually allowed into the country. And that was also a problem for the community. But beyond that, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the positive sides of the Asian history, what some of the inventors have done. As an example, the person that developed the Bing cherry, which is the #1 sales of cherries in America, is a guy by the name of Bing. And he developed it in the Pacific Northwest. It's a cherry that probably all of us have eaten, but never knew what the origins were and how he developed it. Another person is, all of you might know Chavez, who is the famous, United Farm Workers. But behind him, prior to that, the organizer was actually a fellow by the name of Larry Leong, who is Filipino. And he actually started the movement, but didn't want to be in the focus of being in the forefront. And so Chavez got in front of that and took it on the rest of the way, along with Larry. Yuri Kuchiyama has always been a famous civil rights person in the 60s. And some of the technology things that you use every day. I look down at my desk and I see USB ports everywhere, plugged in here and there, here and there. And it was developed by an Indian named A.J. Bhatt. And all of you use the USB port today. It makes it so easy to use, but you probably never knew it was invented by an Indian American. Then last, I want to mention YouTube. All of us use the YouTube channel. The developer of YouTube, one of them, I don't want to give all the credit to him, but he's one of the main developers, is a fellow by the name of Steve Chen. Steve actually was honored by OCA years ago, and very humble person. And he actually accepted the award. We had a chance to talk to his wife, and his wife says, of all the places that wanted to give him awards, he decided to accept the award from OCA. And he's still working there. As you know, YouTube has become probably an everyday household item that's being used today. So I'll stop there, but I want to describe some of the struggles and also some of the contributions of Asians in America.
If I may, first of all, thank you, AAUC and CLUSA, to invite us to have this platform to talking about our culture, our country, and talking about Asian Americans' contribution to this country. I first want to introduce the Asian American, well, I'm representing AACC, which stands for Austin Asian Community Civic Coalition. This is a grassroots community organization-based, nonpartisan coalition. And we try to focus on increase AAPI's civic participation and voter turnout and the voice for our community. Just like Ken said, this our Asian American has the contributions go back to 200 years. But the United States, since 1790, the Neutralization Act was signed into law to prohibiting non-white people become citizens of the United States. So all people of color, especially Asian American, really has discriminated from all different levels for so many years. And the United States has always been a country for immigrants. We have so much contribution, just like Ken said already. And I want to add to, for now, people will know to remind people from building railroads to fight for America in world wars and to fight COVID right now in the front line, like a lot of doctors and nurses, and to supply PPEs nationwide, supply the food for the community in need. And also, I have to mention about Asian American really represent American well on world stage by Olympic team, by science, by all this different field. And right now, the claimant is really not on our side. The claimant in this country right now has entered an era of which justice is swallowed by evil. Reason is replaced by madness. The unity was replaced by the division. The dignity is trampled on. And we cannot, because this kind of claimant, we Asian Americans cannot be silenced anymore. I talk this later on for what we need to do in the future and from now on. So let's just stop for right now here.
I personally moved from Qingdao, China to Texas with my husband work more than 20 years ago. I deeply feel that as a Chinese woman, especially in the recent political and social turmoil, so it's united with the 5.3 million Chinese in the United States is very important. While we enjoy the democracy, freedom, and the equity of the United States, so we give love, share, tolerance, and participate. It's very important to return to the service activities of the community. I believe that the core value of the basic principle of the United States are to bring equality and fairness to people of all races. Because apart from the Native Americans, we were originally immigrant from this country. Whether you are a first generation immigrant or several generations of immigrants, I'm personally proud of my Chinese background and Chinese culture. We have excellent family value, respecting the elderly, respecting education, respecting others, and being loyal to friends and to the United States. So of course, we still need a improvement in strength, team cooperation, and the publicity, enjoy the American freedom and participate in the political sides, build people's trust in the Chinese American community, promote civil rights, and educate the public. So we will understand and we should let the other people understand the diverse minorities, Asia, AAPI communities, so contribution to the United States, we from the history and to the present.
Thank you all for that. But I do want to touch on here, how important is it though in the era of unity to have individuals like Beverly, who is really magnifying the voices of AAPI artists? And for Beverly, I mean, how does it feel highlighting a different community? I mean, you're an ally, but you're the community that you might not feel as directly connected to.
Well, our organization is multicultural and multinational. and I feel very connected. I think we all stand or fall together. As Jan said, or Alice said, all of us are immigrants except for the indigenous people. And we cannot elevate one group at the expense of another. As an advocate for women, I am very, very well aware that it's not just women we need to be concerned about. We need to be concerned about other groups outside the dominant group. So it might be LGBTQ, it might be Asian Americans, certainly African Americans, indigenous people, as I mentioned. All of these groups who experience discrimination and see their rights trampled need to unite. No single demographic can win its rights by itself. We all have to unite. That's the only way we will ever achieve justice, social justice in the United States, and economic justice and political justice.
Well, Beverly, I completely agree with you. And just seeing your artists that you highlighted gives me a feeling that, you know, it's not a world that is secluded, but it's a world that is inclusive. And I think that the information you gave gives me motivation to say that there is potential for growth, potential for people understanding, but it's organizations like yourself that brings those things out. And then without it, I think a lot of it gets silenced. And that's why one of the things that our organization is working on is to develop a K through 12 curriculum, which the state of Illinois has accepted already. We're trying to get it in other states. And this is a K through 12 curriculum that talks about the Asian history. I doubt very much if any of the listeners today knew of the history I talked about with the people who made contributions to America. You know, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you're in a class and they talked about the YouTube developer, or the person that developed the USB, and talked about that in the K through 12 curriculum, so that students would have a much better understanding of what is everybody's contribution. And that goes along with the African-American community, the Latino community, and all the others that are out there. Because once you learn about and appreciate other cultures and other people, I think that makes it much easier for you to accept and to be knowledgeable of other folks and their history and contributions.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. When I think back on the social studies that I learned as a youngster, I cringe. It was so narrowly focused on the experience of great white men and their achievements were celebrated, but they also had some abject failures. You know, let's not forget that the founding fathers of our country, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, they had plantations. They enslaved people. We like to call them slave owners, but they were enslavers. They maintained that power relationship through extreme violence, torture, intergenerational torture. And yet we never discussed that. We need to highlight the contributions of all of these other groups, and white Americans need to be honest about what they have done, the discrimination, the atrocities. We have to have an honest education. And in Texas, where I live, that is very much under threat. Critical race theory is now banned in the schools, and critical race theory is simply a blanket term for history that focuses on these other accomplishments of the other groups, and especially on the atrocities of the dominant group. We do this in the United States. All countries do this. All countries whitewash their histories and eliminate any record of their wrongdoing. We have to be honest.
Absolutely. And I wanted to kind of go on to Alice. Could you please tell us how further contributions? I know you've been out there with the political activism. You kind of touched upon it earlier that, what steps we can take next.
This is a big issue right now. I'm living Texas, so I'm going to using some Texas numbers based on census to talking about what we can do for this country. And right now, Texas has increased 4 million citizens over past decades from a census. And right now, where the population in state grow 66.5%. So we make up 6.6% of a total population. And we are share 5.5% of electoral in the state of Texas. So our voice is louder. That means our voice is louder if you use it. Our power, we have power if you go vote. And we have to change the modern minority math, which was really wrongfully add on our head and to divide us from different racial groups. And the modern minority math, always people thinking, oh, you Asian smart, you Asian doing well, going to good schools and have good jobs. That's not it. From the last census, 2020 census, we are still have, just for example, in Texas, we have a 12% lack of health insurance. We have about 11% still live in poverty, especially the Pacific Islander, Native Hawaii Pacific Islander has a 16% live in the poverty. People maybe don't know that. So we need to really unify our community to make our voice heard and to power our voice, power our participation, power our partnership with other racial groups, so with the people of color, Latinos, Black community. We need to partner together to make our voice really louder. And the power of coalition. This is a great opportunity to make all Asian American community together, to voice together and to exchange our ideas and to make people aware, make a listener aware, make our organization aware. Together, we need a vote. Meanwhile, for this moment, every state, I think, has a redistricting and mapping started drawing. We have to have a voice. We cannot let mainstream or one party to rule our diluting our voice by mapping us and cracking us or divide us. And so this is a perfect opportunity for all of us. I know OCA is in front line of that. Our AACCC is also doing that. Our team, our volunteers is right now is in the state senator doing the hearings in person. So if you hear this message, check out with your state redistricting. Everywhere need our voice. If you don't participate, you will be ignored. Our population is growing everywhere. So we need to have this opportunity. And the election too, to get registered, vote. Next Tuesday is a National Voter Registration Day. Be participant, to be a volunteer, to help. And right now also COVID-19 everywhere has a mask mandate issues. To speak out your voice, to support the science, support the public health. This is not a partisan issue. This is a public health issue. So I couldn't stop. I have to stop here. This is go on. I can't. I have so much to tell about it. Thank you.
I think that was great. Thank you very much for that. And if you have questions from listeners here, this is your chance to send them in. I don't know if we have any questions yet, but we are trying to do a Q&A. But I guess just quickly from everyone, I mean, are we seeing unity? Are we seeing, we know that there's a growth in the AAPI community, but for all the speakers here, do y'all think that we're seeing unity in the community?
I think there's more unity now because of all the hate incidents that have happened in the past year. I think that the Asian community has come together much stronger. However, you know, the model minority myth that Alice talked about is really a problem for the Asian community, because the Asian community right now, the Asian groups in America are the most disparate group. They have the lowest income group and the highest income group. So they now take that title, which was not, did not belong to the Asians before, but we ended up with that title today, which is not a good title, because people don't understand. They think more that Asians are the model minority, and that's not the truth. Right now, there are very, very large populations that are in that lowest income group. So we have the most disparate income out there. And I think that, you know, part of the issue that we have is, again, I go back to the K through 12 history. I mean, I'll give you one other fact. I know I gave a lot of facts earlier, but in World War II, the most decorated unit in World War II in the US Army was the US Army's 442. And it was a group of US Army participants who were made up of Japanese Americans and Chinese Americans, Asian Americans, I should say. And they fought the hardest over in the European theater, and they were the most decorated group, but people don't know that. Why don't we have that in our histories? Why don't we talk about these positive things so that people see the positives in each of the different groups of people?
We also hosted the free Chinese culture and the Asia culture summer camps for the students, teach the AAPI history. We also hosted the watch rally, person rally to organize. We invited the police officer or FBI officer and talk to us. And then we invited the city councils. We did a lot of this job and really appreciate our board. And the rally goes well. The first one is around 800 people join us. So really, it's a time for us to unite it. Thank you.
I want to quickly add one thing. The power is in our hands if we use it. I'm so proudly to brag about our Texas AAPI's voter turnout in 2020 is 100% than 2016. So we need all doing that and to spread the word, to make people to go vote, more people to run for office. This is where we can grab our power to voice our concern. Thanks.
And by the way, Texas is the fourth largest state that has Asians, and followed by California being the largest, New York being second, Hawaii being third, and Texas is the fourth largest state with Asians.
We're working hard on that. Register more voter and just speak out, speak louder.
And Hojin, I bet you that was a fact that you probably didn't know.
Add it to the list. Add it to the list of facts that Hojin doesn't know. But I mean, honestly, I'm. Thank you. Thank all of y'all. Thank all the guest speakers for giving some of the time. And just, I mean, if we do have any questions coming in from viewers, this is the last call. We will try to get those in. But if we don't have any questions, again, I thank all the speakers, Ken, Beverly, Jan, and Alice. Thank y'all for your participation and attendance. And I mean, thank you. I really appreciated the time.